This is Miss Henderson with Lab Report Writing 201. The focus of this particular segment of Lab Report Writing 201 will be on research. And we will cover evaluating the credibility of sources as well as citing sources. So, when you are doing research, it is important to know if the source is credible or not. And what we mean by credible is the information true or is it untrue? So we're looking for credible sources because credible sources we can trust to have true information. So what makes something credible? Well, we want to know if it's relevant. So if it's old, and we consider old anything published over 10 years ago, you're going to want to double check to make sure that that information is still valid because there's so much that we do know, but on the other hand, there's also so much that we don't know. So as we get new information, science is going to change and incorporate that new information. Another way to know if a source is credible is knowing the author's purpose. So, for example, if you're researching GMOs and the title of the website is Ban GMOs, they are the devil and they will kill you, does that seem like a source where you're going to get unbiased, completely accurate information? Well, it could be, but the chances that it is a biased source, and what does biased mean? That means that one specific point of view is going to be presented and they're going to really be working on their own agenda. So they have a specific purpose and they're trying to convince people of their viewpoint. That's what we mean by biased. Then they could potentially include inaccurate information because they're trying so hard to convince people of their viewpoint. So just try and stay away from biased sources. You want to know, where is it published? So is this a college professor or a graduate student? Is it produced by a university? Is it made by a scientist or a science organization? Well, in those cases, the information can be trusted as being credible. Here are some example credible sources: the Mayo Clinic, government websites, university affiliated websites, websites with specific authors that are containing non biased information. Now, what are some non credible sources? Well, if it's on Yahoo Answers or social media such as blogs or Twitter accounts, it's not going to be considered credible. And you do not want to include information from sources like these because mostly those are people's specific opinions and anyone can post to them. And so you can't trust whether or not they're accurate. So just stay away from any of those sources. If you want more help, the University of Santa Cruz has a great page on their library website, that's the link is right down here, that can help you to decide if sources are credible or not. Let's look at a few more examples. So credible sources, and credible means we can trust that they're true. So these are the types of sources you want to include. Would be anything with .edu at the end, because those are by schools and educational groups, such as universities. .gov, these are going to be your government operated websites, and that information can be trusted as true. The Mayo Clinic is another good resource because it oftentimes will write things in more common language so they can give explanations sometimes that are easier to understand. Now, in knowing what sources are and aren't credible, it's important to understand what the different domains mean. So domains are going to be those endings at the end of the web address, at the end of the URL. So .com is going to be for commercial purposes. So those are things used by businesses. So like geico.com, that's used by a car insurance business. .edu is going to be things like schools and universities. Now, .org, we're oftentimes taught that you can trust them as being true. What .org means is that the organization is nonprofit. So, for example, the health organization Kaiser Permanente, they are technically a not-for-profit medical organization. Now, Kaiser is probably a pretty credible source. You would be able to cite that. But there are other .org sources that could be biased because all they have to be is a nonprofit organization. So for the most part, .org is true, but that's one of those that you need to consider the specific case and double check for bias or not. Now, let's look at some of them that are not considered credible sources. So, for example, Wikipedia. Wikipedia, anyone can post to. And it's usually correct, but because anyone can post to it and the Wikipedia authors might not have had a chance to approve it and double check it, there could be wrong information that slips through that evaluating process. So it's a great place to start, but it's not necessarily a source that you want to cite. You're going to want to do more research beyond. Weebly sites or any other website that anyone can make for free, because anyone can make a website and put out whatever information they want. Social media sites, so that's like, or Twitter. So if it's a tweet, do not cite a tweet. That is not research. Okay, the internet is an amazing resource. There is a lot of information out there that's available to you at a moment's notice. Part of my job is to teach you to harness that power and use it for good. However, because of the plethora, that means a big amount of information available to you on the internet, there is a great deal of information out there on the internet that is false. So just because it is on the internet does not make it true. There is no guy sitting at the internet watching posts and eliminating the untrue information. So due to the fact that there is so much information out there, you need to be able to evaluate and recognize the source it's coming from and whether or not that source is dedicated to producing the truth. So let's look at which websites and locations are considered credible sources. Pause the video and take a moment to determine for yourself which are credible. Which are considered not credible sources? Well, every source listed is considered a credible source except for Yahoo Answers and Twitter and Wikipedia. Does that mean that all the information in these locations is wrong? No, it just means that there is no for sure guarantee that every single piece of information posted in these locations is 100% true and fact checked. I consider some of these sources a great starting point. So, for example, you can look up on Wikipedia and it can give you a great overview and a great place to start, but you want to make sure that you scroll down to the bottom of the article and look at those references that there are links to and click those links and go there and double check that the information is correct. And then you want to cite the source that you use for your fact checking. And again, .edu can be trusted. And here is a whole list of sources that can help you. Google Scholar is great. If you want to learn more about how to use that, just come see me. Always cite your sources. Did you make it up? Is it common knowledge, such as the world is round, a meter is used to measure distance, etc.? You must cite your sources. If you do not cite your sources, that is the same as lying, because you are saying that you came up with the idea when you didn't. It's also called plagiarism, and if you do it in college, they will kick you out because it is a form of cheating. So don't be that guy. Use the Credible Hulk here as your role model.